Okay, so once you have a boat-shaped block of wood, you've got your sides all shaped, your front cut out, the next step is to start chiseling out the recess for the center, kind of like a canoe, how it's hollowed out in the middle. The way you're going to do that is by using a wooden mallet and a chisel. So you are going to slowly carve that out until you've got kind of a canoe cut out in the middle. But before you do that, we need to measure. In your instructions, it will tell you that we need to do a 1/2 inch offset inward all the way around the perimeter of this boat, and that is the area that we're going to cut out. Easiest way I've found to do that is to take what's called a combination square. This slides back and forth. It's on a magnet. You can set this so that there is just a 1/2 inch sticking up from this flat part. So that right there is a 1/2 inch. I'm going to place the flat part of the combination square up against my boat. I'm going to place my pencil on the tip of that ruler. So I have that just like this. Pencil just like that. And then I'm going to slowly slide this all the way around while holding my pencil in place. And that will give us a nice 1/2 inch offset. So I'm going to go ahead and maneuver this around as I go. Just kind of working my way, trying to follow those curves as best you can. Okay, and I'll end up with something that looks like that. So you have that 1/2 inch offset now that you are ready to carve out. So that whole middle area inside of the lines is what is going to be hollowed out to create the inside of your boat. Once that is complete, you are ready to start working with the chisel. The very first step you need to do, you can keep it on the table for this step, you need to take a flat-tipped chisel. So right here we have a chisel that has a flat point, compared to the other chisel which has a rounded tip to it. Those are the differences. The flat-tip chisel, you're going to take and you're going to trace a line all the way around that perimeter that you just drew with the pencil. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and go straight up and down. I'm going to put the back flat edge of the chisel against my pencil line. Hold it straight up and down. I'm just going to do a few small taps. You only need to go about 1/8 inch deep or so. Then I'm going to continue with those small taps until I have traced that whole perimeter. So I'm just going to keep working my way around. Again, just a few taps with each. Don't worry about it being perfect. We're almost there. Oh, we went off the line. Okay, I just have the back to do. Okay, we got it. Okay, so now I have hammered that chisel in just about 1/8 inch deep. The reason we do that is so once you start chiseling with your gouge chisel, which is the rounded chisel, that will help to prevent tear out past your lines. So by doing this, as you chisel, if those lines weren't there, it may tear out all the way to the edge of the boat, but this will help it to stop at those lines. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp this down with the part we're going to chisel out facing up. Clamp it nice and tight in one of these bench vices. Now, there's a couple key things you need to know when you're starting to work with these chisels. You always want to chisel away from your own body as well as away from anybody else. You don't want to start here, and I don't want to hit it here and start chiseling towards myself. That's a good way for an accident to happen, and we don't want that to happen. So always make sure you chisel away from yourself, and make sure you don't have another student standing close enough that you could slip and hit them as well. Okay, so you always want to start on either end of your boat and work your way to the middle. If you start in the middle and work your way to the edge, that's going to increase the chances of a big chunk chipping out on the back or side or front of your boat. So I'm just going to start here on the front edge. I'm going to hold my chisel at about a 45-degree angle to start. Start tapping the back end gently, and you are going to slowly start shaving out material. So again, I'm going to stop right about in the middle. I'm going to move my body around, restart at the other side, start chiseling. And again, I kind of met in the middle. So I'm taking out these chunks of wood, go back to the other side, do a little bit more. I can shift over a little bit. And I'm going to come back here. Meet in the middle again. Now let me show you what we've done. So basically, I am just slowly hollowing out the inside of that boat. Again, you're going to start on either end, work your way to the middle, stop, switch sides, and then meet it in the middle. You're going to repeat that process, taking off between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch of depth with each pass until you've got down to the required 3/4 of an inch of depth for the inside of your boat. And that concludes the chiseling portion. The final step of shaping your boat is going to be shaping the bottom. Because ideally we want it to have kind of a rounded bottom so it looks like a boat. So we're going to flip this over upside down. I'm going to clamp it in this vise once again. And you have a couple tool options when rounding the bottom corners and edges of your boat. You can use a rasp, which is a coarse file, or you can use a regular file, which is has finer teeth than the rasp. The rasp will take off more material at a time but leave a rougher finish. And the file will take off less at a time but give you a smoother finish. Finally, you have the option of using the block plane again. You can take this to kind of the edges and slowly work your way around that boat, just to kind of round over your edges. So that's one way to do it. You can take the rasp. You're going to hold the handle in one hand, put a palm on the front of the other end. You'll just slowly slide it along those edges and corners. You're going to kind of round it out. You can also take your file. That will help you to kind of get it nice and smooth. And basically, you are trying to make it look more boat-like. So here are some of the rounded edges I just did. So you're going to round out all the way around the perimeter of the bottom of the boat to give that more of a rounded base. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you a boat that is closer to being finished. So this one has the rounded bottom. We got the middle hollowed out to a depth of 3/4 of an inch with that 1/2 inch offset perimeter. Now one of the last steps, step 5, or sorry, not step 5. The very last step of the shaping portion is to prepare for the sail. So you guys will be allowed to use one power tool for this project, and one power tool only. That is a drill. So you guys will have the ability to use a drill. You will want a 3/16 drill bit installed in that drill. You are going to drill a small hole in the center of the boat so that you will have a place for your sail and your mast for this sailboat. So you're going to take, you can set your boat, flat on a table or clamp it down in a bench vise if it doesn't sit level. You're going to take this drill, make sure that it is in the forward position by pushing this toggle to the left. You will place your drill centered in your boat, pull the trigger, and slowly drill through. Remember, you only want to go down about 1/2 of an inch. You definitely don't want to drill through the bottom of your boat, because boats don't do well when they have holes in them. It might not last in the sailboat competition. Once you have that hole drilled, you are going to take a 3/16 dowel that I will provide. You are going to cut that down to whatever length you want, but keep in mind, if you go too long and you have a really tall mast or sail, your boat's probably going to tip over. And if you go too short, then you won't have a big enough sail to really catch the wind. So we're going to cut this off using the coping saw. So again, you can take the coping saw or you can take the dowel and put that kind of on the edge of a table, and you're just going to gently saw through until you have your small piece cut. You will place your dowel in the hole, and just like that, you have a mast. Okay, once the mast is complete, you're going to grab a piece of paper. You can cut a sail to whatever shape and size you wish. Just keep in mind the racetrack for the rain gutter regatta is only about 8 inches wide or so for each lane. So if you make your sail too wide, it's going to rub against the sides and it will get stuck. So I have my rectangular shape sail here and a hole punch. I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole, one towards the top, one towards the bottom. I'm going to slip those right over my mast, and just like that, we have a sailboat. Okay. Once your sailboat is built, step 5 is one of the final steps, which is to smooth your boat. You have a few different options to smooth out your boat. For this step, I would probably take out the mast, make it a little bit easier. We have either, again, files and rasps you can use to smooth out all sides, finishes. We have handheld sandpaper, strips of sandpaper that you can kind of bend and fold and get inside the edges of the hollowed out part. We also have these little sanding sponges, which they're Velcro. You can change out the different grits of the sandpaper. So you can take that and you can go all the way around all sides of your boat, get it nice and smooth. Once you have your boat looking all nice and smooth and finished, the very last step is a finishing step where each of you will have the opportunity to decorate your boat however you would like. We have acrylic paint pens that you can actually use in different colors. You can paint your boat, you can name it, make sure that any drawings or names on your boat are appropriate for the class, and you will have completed your sailboat and be ready to race on race day.